Did you hear about the showdown between Air France and Burkina Faso? Air France suddenly suspended flights to Burkina Faso, calling it a red zone after Niger's airspace was closed. No warning, just boom, flights cancelled. Burkina Faso's civil aviation agency wasn't having it. They called it a breach of their agreement from 1962. When Air France tried to resume flights, Burkina Faso said, "Not so fast. You need our approval first." President Ibrahim Traoré made it clear. The problem isn't the French people, but their government's policies in Africa. Looks like Africa is standing its ground.
France is losing Africa. In the last 3 years, there have been 8 different coups d'etats in former French colonies: Mali, Chad, Burkina Faso, Guinea, last month Niger, and today Gabon. It's not a coincidence that all these countries in the same region at the same time have revolts against the system created by the same colonizer. These are not just coups d'etats, they are coups d'etats against France. This is the entire region telling the French to get out and go home. These countries never experienced independence until now. Former French President Charles de Gaulle engineered this neo-colonial system called France-Afrique to maintain French influence and control of Africa. So France will help put a stooge in power like Bazoum or Bongo, offer them military assistance, in exchange, of course, for surrendering all the country's natural resources and mineral wealth to France. Look at Niger's uranium or Gabon's oil. How can Niger and Gabon be so rich and yet that wealth is not seen in the people? Who is benefiting here exactly? The French companies and the French state, of course, who own those resources. Now, France claims all these coups are dangerous and African countries will lose democracy and legitimacy and security because France won't help fight them, the jihadists that France helped create. And then they will lose all this foreign development aid. Well, who's really losing out here? It's France that is losing control of Africa, not the other way around. Africa does not need France. The French are in such denial of what is happening right now. Look how Macron is so desperate to keep Africa under French rule. Even his ambassador refuses to leave Niger. The government in Niger has revoked the French ambassador's credentials and visas. So he is no longer a diplomat and has no right to be in the country, and yet he still refuses to leave. Macron, instead of recalling his ambassador and telling him, "Shame on you for embarrassing me and embarrassing the country," he encourages him. This is unbelievable. You know, when you're in somebody else's house and they tell you to leave, you better leave. They shouldn't have to cancel your diplomatic credentials and your visas and have the police out looking for you like some missing child. This is their house. You are a guest in their country. The French would do well to remember that. That is the problem with the French government. They forget that they are guests in Africa. They are guests in Gabon, in Niger, Mali, Chad, and so on. They do not control it. The attitude that Macron exhibits, his military, his diplomats, is stinking and colonial, and that is exactly what the coups in Africa are all about. They are a rejection of neocolonialism. The African Union, ECOWAS, and all these international bodies that the French just so happen to support condemn these coups, but look how people are in the streets out celebrating. It's because they know that these coups are legitimate acts of independence. These coups, coupled with the expansion of BRICS, are true signs of decolonization as opposed to the 1950s and 60s, which were just really a facade and a reshuffling of European power in Africa and the Middle East. What's happening in West Africa right now is so obvious. It is a slap in France's face. It is independence for Africa and a goodbye to neocolonialism. One might even call it an African Spring, seeing all these countries regain of their destinies.
National airline Air France. Before the coups, Air France was a highly profitable enterprise in the Sahel. The airline earned an astonishing daily revenue of 500 million FCFA in Mali, 430 million FCFA in Niger, and 390 million FCFA in Burkina Faso. This totaled over 2 million euros per day across the 3 countries, underscoring the economic significance of the Sahel to French commercial interests. However, following the rise of military governments and the rejection of French influence, Air France was effectively driven out of the region. This expulsion has resulted in devastating financial losses, with the airline reportedly losing over 65 million euros since its departure. Despite these losses, recent reports reveal that Air France is now attempting to re-enter the Sahel, a move that raises several pressing questions. The central question is this: why would Air France seek to return to a region that has so decisively rejected French influence? And perhaps more importantly, will the current military governments, which have consistently prioritized sovereignty and self-determination, allow the airline to resume operations? The motivations behind Air France's push to return are clear. The Sahel represents a lucrative market and a critical economic zone for French interests. Its absence from the region has not only hurt its bottom line, but has also symbolized France's waning influence in Africa. However, the decision to permit its return ultimately lies with the revolutionary governments of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. These leaders have shown a steadfast commitment to breaking free from exploitative arrangements and forging equitable partnerships with nations that respect their sovereignty.
France just collapsed, and Africa was the one that pulled the trigger. On September 9th, 2025, the French Prime Minister was voted out in a brutal confidence vote. Overnight, his government was gone. But this isn't only about politics in Paris. This is about an empire losing its grip. One by one, African nations cut the cord. Mali expelled French troops. Burkina Faso banned them completely. Niger shut the door. Years of resentment are boiling over, and now France is no longer welcome where it once called the shots. For decades, Paris used its influence to dominate West Africa through armies, resources, and politics. But leaders like Ibrahim Traoré are pushing back hard, declaring independence from the old system. Meanwhile, inside France, protests rage. Anger spreads, and the streets are burning with frustration. The teacher has lost control of the classroom, and the students have taken charge. The so-called empire is rubble. But is this collapse the end of France's dominance, or the rise of Africa's new power?
What if I told you France's past in Africa is now haunting it in Paris itself? For decades, France held power in African nations, but one by one, those countries have pushed back. Now, as its influence collapses abroad, unexpected consequences are unfolding at home. Locals whisper that demographic changes are reshaping France, and doors are opening wider for migrants from former colonies. In the streets of Paris, symbols of colonial power are being challenged, and critics say the country is paying the price for decades of interference. Do you think France is truly facing the consequences of its colonial past? Yes or no? And here's the twist. While leaders in Paris scramble to explain, many Africans see this as long overdue justice. But is this just the beginning of a deeper shift in Europe's future? Follow now and share this video, because the next revelation may change how you see global power forever.
Welcome back, my good people from Africa and across the oceans. Now today, I'm bringing you something that maybe some of you are not discussing about it. Many of you are not discussing about this issue. Today, the Air France are now is now the company that is pushing the government of France to do something about the collapsing and about the losing of everything that they have lost from Africa. Because without Africa, then it means that this Air France is no longer able to survive. Because Air France is a company of France which deals with the airlines services that transport people from Africa and France, people across Africa and France and across the globe. But again, this Air France has not been able helping Africa. It has never been able to help the African or the Sahel economy, since it has been used to transport a lot of minerals, a lot of people. But again, how did the people of Africa have been benefiting from this Air France? That's the question. Because for so long, this Air France has been there for so long, and is one of the company that has been bringing the huge amount, or that it has been doing best in boosting the economy of France, whereby the people who are concerned, the people who are making all this to happen, are still suffering, are not able to get or benefit anything from certain companies like Air France. And now, The Air France company is one of the institutions today that is pushing the government of France to do something concerning all these issues and all these crises between Africa and Europe. Because if things continues to work like this, if the situation continues to be as how it is today, then it means that the Air France is going to collapse, is going to die, is going to be dead. And once, an institution like airport in a country, those are the mainstream of the economy of the country. Those are the source of the main income of the country. So whenever you find a country that its airlines services not working well, then it automatically the economy of that country is going to be in a crisis, and that is why today we are speaking about the collapsing of the great Europe. Not only about losing gold, not only about losing the dominance and power from Africa, but they have lost the best thing that it has been boosting up the economy. Now,
without Africa, there is no France. Without our former colonies, give France only 20 years, and it will be one of the poorest nations in the continent of.
Now, today, people, since Ibrahim Traore and some of the Sahel leaders and his alliance from Sahel cut off their relationship between them and France, they never only cut off the military bases. They never only cut off the agreements that were binding them to their minerals. They not only cut off the influence, but they cut off everything that it was they were being associated, or it was making them to be born together, so that maybe they can work together, they can do business. But the problem was that all this agreement was to make these countries to do business, but not to take from other people, not one of them to benefit from one another. But the past governments were there watching everything that was being done here. They were there watching everything that was happening, but they were not able to do or to come out to do anything that could have stopped all those crises that was happening. And now, because these leaders today that we are having, who are the military leaders, these are the leaders who have been in the government for so long. They know everything that has been happening. They know whenever you see them coming out and start to act like this, it is not that they have just wake up and decide to do this all that they are doing. They have been there. They have been there in several governments. They know all that has been happening. They know where the government fails. They know where the government was not able to do, because they're in touch. They are doing things that are being dictated. They are being convinced. They are being brainwashed, just for other people to benefit from the governments that they are in. Now, when you see these young African leaders are coming out to take the governments, when you see these young soldiers coming out and overtake their governments, it is because they have been there for so long, and they have not been happy or to see all that their government has been doing with the countries with whom they believe that they are in a diplomatic way. Because there is no way you can be in a diplomatic relationship saying that you are in a best and good diplomatic relationship while your government is suffering, and the people who you are in a relationship with, they are benefiting much than your people. France has been coming through that airlines. These airlines was only made there to transport their minerals, to transport gold, diamonds, and uranium from Sahel to go and build the economy of France, while the people from this country, from this Sahel region, are suffering, are dying due to hunger, due to drought, not being able to access to medical services, not being able to access to the education, to best education system, not being able to have the best roads, while they're having the best resources that can build the economy even in a single year. So all this has been ongoing, and these people whom today have been taken this government were there watching everything that their government has been doing, collaborating with the former colonizers, but not being able to benefit even a half of percentage of everything that they are getting from their countries. So today, all that we're watching happening is not something that people just woke up one day and decide that they want to do, but it's something that they have been sitting down watching everything happening. And it's like they came to be tired of everything of their government, of their institutions, for not acting, not making the best decision that can bring out a solution to the government and to their people. So today, Air France has been banned. It was banned from accessing the countries of Sahel. And this is a nightmare to them. This is a nightmare to France. So whenever you see countries like France coming out, like they are coming to apologize, asking to come back to Africa, it is not because they are so guilty maybe of all that they have been doing, because we know that French has been the colonization colonial system that was so harsh, was harsh in dealing with their colonies. It has killed many people. It has caused a lot of damages here in Africa. It has been controlling, taking a lot of money that the government of Africa has been paying them for so long, not caring how the people are living in these countries, not caring. They are coming out here in Africa, they take our resources, they go to build the future of the generations of France, while the people in the future of Africa are coming and dying, being destroyed, because they are not able to sustain their life. The parents of Africa are not able to raise their families just because of poverty, while we are the one having everything that is making other people to become rich and richer every day. We are the one having everything that's making other people to become superior and powerful every day. So this airline was only made there because just to benefit themselves. Because the people of these countries, these are the countries that have been in a poorest situation, whereby the people of these countries are not able to afford traveling with these airlines to go maybe doing business, moving from Africa to France and coming back. The France airlines are coming to land in their soil, carrying their own goods, their own properties, taking to the countries of France and Europe, while the Africans are starving, dying, because they are not able to access to the things, the basic needs. So today, all that we're watching, I think this is just the beginning. I think this is just the beginning, because the people who have been oppressed for so long today are the people who have awakened up and they have stand up, and they're the one who are controlling everything that they have. They're the one who are controlling everything that is in the country. They're the one now to decide today who to trade with, who to give out their resources, but not being told what to do. Today, these great empires are confused. They are worried because if they cannot be able to convince Africa on and give them the reason as to why they have to be allowed to come back, then it means that we always speak, and many people just think like we are just making stories. These are not stories, but this is something that is happening before our eyes. These are the prophecies that were put there centuries and decades, over decades that has passed. And this is the time that is happening, and people are thinking like this is something that it's like a joke. But people are not taking it seriously. But let me tell you something. When we speak, maybe coming 2050 or 20 years or 50 years from now, Africa will not be the same. Africa will be a different continent from how the people used to know it. Africa will be in a position that the world never expected, because the people who have been holding that position are the people who have been oppressing Africa and making them to look down, so that they can be able to come and take everything that that Africans themselves would have been used to awaken themselves to do all that is needed for them to rise and awaken and be strong. But because today those people have been making all these problems are the one today who are facing the most problems, are the same people who today are facing the most challenges in not being able to help themselves, but just becoming something else. From the power to beggars, today they are on their knees begging Africa, because the African leaders today who have awakened up, who know the truth, and they're working towards it, that the people who are not ready to associate with all that has been going on over decades. This is the new Africa, and this is the Africa's new era. No time for colonization, no time for neo-colonization, no time for foreign influence, no time for manipulation, but it's the time of waking up, standing up, and reclaiming what we believe it belongs to us. Until next time, just tell me to have the comment section because I will not take much of your time. Hope that you have enjoyed the video. Consider subscribing, sharing, commenting. Just leave a comment, like, for you to be able to come back because we are here each and every time spreading positivity towards Africa, towards the motherland, because Africa, motherland has awakened and she's here reclaiming her dignity. Until next time, and you may be blessed reaching from. And I thank you for your support, for you being here each and every time, because you are doing great and you are making me to do great. And be blessed reaching from. I love and appreciate your support.